Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day wherever they are. Like I say in all my videos, I'm not responsible if anybody gets hurt, and sometimes I swear. Today I'm going to do a reading on Nick Ryan, who is charged with the murder of his parents, Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner. So I'm going to do, I wasn't sure I was going to do this because, you know, but I said, what the hell, why not? I'm going to do it on Nick and see what the cards tell me. Like I say, entertainment purposes. So we'll see. All right, I'm going to do, how was Nick's relationship with his family? We know they say it was terrible and it was a flip-flopping, but I'm gonna go through the cards. I'm doing tarot reading on Nick and his relationships with people. How his relationship with his family, his parents. I'm gonna do 5 cards. How about when he was growing up? I'll do that before he got into the drugs. Before I get into the drugs, tell me please, how was his relationship with his parents? It says it was fair, but he loved himself. There was disharmony. There was fighting, constantly fighting. He wanted to be the center of attention. Sorry, I showed this. Yeah, this is a lover's reverse. He wanted to be the one in center of attention. He wanted people to love him. They tried to, he liked to be the center of attention. He was kind of into himself. He even had this, it says detachment. Even when he was younger, he was detached. It's a suffering from detachment. He had trouble being close to his siblings and his family members. He just wanted to do his own thing. He wasn't very close to him. He just didn't feel like he was part of the family because his father was this big producer and director, and he thought he could never be good enough because of his family name, being in Hollyweird. I call him Hollyweird. Yeah, so he didn't ever thought he was good enough, but he was very, yeah. And he made bad choices growing up, and then he turned into drugs. So he made bad choices. Nick did bad choices. And he didn't have commitment when it came to go into rehab. He wouldn't, go to rehab and stick to commitment. He failed to commitment by going to rehab, and so he was terrible at that. Also, he thought he could, he was like he thought he would be very that. He thought it was. This is the card that says he thought he had Heimer. He was secretive, like he didn't want his parents to know some things about him, so he was secretive. He didn't really tell them everything about him, so he lied a lot to his family and his and the people who were around him. So he was a very secretive person, and he was divided. He trusted himself, like he knew. He thought he knew himself better than the doctors. Like, oh, you don't know me. The doctors don't know me. So he was very into himself. Sudden awareness. He was trying to be happy with his sisters and his family, even though he was on drugs. He tried to be happy the best he could with his health. And he retreated. He was very withdrawn. When you take drugs, you'll get withdrawn. And then he was trying to get off the drugs, and he was withdrawn because they said enough is enough. So he was withdrawn with taking the drugs. And also, he was he wanted to make good decisions, but he didn't know how to do that by like having a career, making that movie with his father. He tried to make good decisions, making that movie. He thought it was a good decision doing that, you know. And he also thought it was good decisions not to go to rehab, even though that wasn't. And also personal goals. His personal goals were, he wanted to be like his father, but not do the work, become a screenwriter. He wanted to be as high as his father, but not do the work. He had goals. He was a fear of the unknown. He didn't know what was going to happen, like if he would be thrown out, when that party happened. He thought he was going to be thrown out. He was a fear of the unknown. He'd be homeless, because he trashed the house so many times. He was fearful that his parents would finally kick him to the curb. So yeah, so he didn't have a good child. He was very self-centered. He was conceited. He didn't think of other people. He wanted his family to help him get a job being the copyright person, but him not doing the work. All right. I'm going to ask, how is his relationship with his sister? We already know, but I'm asking what he, his thought. Nick. Sometime I'm going to do a video on her. His sister, Romney. Wasn't very good. He was extreme. He was an extreme person. He drank, he smoked, he did drugs. He had an addiction, like to drugs and alcohol, and he liked to be the center of attention. And he had trouble, with alcohol and addiction to drugs and alcohol. That says addiction. He had addiction. Wow, good cards. Passionate. He got angry very easily. He got pissed off. He had mood swings. He got angry very fast. And he was fragile, and he did delays, like he wouldn't go to rehab, and they wanted him to be treated, but he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to go, and they were willing to pay him all those thousands of dollars, and he didn't want to. He said, "Screw that! I'm not going to go to rehab." And he thought his parents didn't love him. He felt like, oh, they don't love me enough. He didn't feel loved by his parents. He did have a connection. He had somewhat of a connection with his sister. So, yeah, he had somewhat of a connection. This is about his sister, sorry. Yeah, he thought he had somewhat of good connection with his sister. Somewhat good, as good as possibly could. With his sister. He thought he was okay connection with his sister, even though it was some kind of weird love he had with his sister, not, just like he loved her as much as he could. And with his sister, he thought he was an inner child. He was like a childlike in a man's body with her. Like, he was very young for his age. Wow. This is, and he had a lot of depression and sadness and arrogancy. He was a very arrogant person. He didn't grow up, I guess they call him a child because of the drugs, but he was also very immature for his age because of the drugs. Probably screwed his brains and fried his brains or whatever, but doesn't give you the right. But we'll talk about that after. Yeah, he had depression. He got depressed very easily with her, with his sister and his family. Yeah, he got depressed. Now I'm gonna ask about Nick. did it the thing that happened at Kobe Bryant, um, with the killing, did that break the camel's back? Did he kill his parents because of the because he felt like he was being embarrassed in front of his Rob Reiner's friends and co-workers and acquaintances and friends? Did he say that that's what broke the camel's back? Does Nick say that's it? You embarrassed me. This is his point of view. Did he get embarrassed by his parents, and is that in the future? I'm going to do a reading on Rob Reiner's opinion about tarot reading about what happened. All right. Please tell me. Is the reason why he killed them because he felt like he was going to be embarrassed? You embarrassed me in front of people. Payback's going to happen. Please tell me. 4 cards. Whoa. Oh my God. Oh my God. Self-search. He thought the truth was going to come out. That his parents said enough isn't. He felt like his parents thought they would tell him that he was making them. He was looking bad, and the truth is coming out, and he didn't want his parents to tell them. He thought he was being put in his place, and he didn't like that, and the truth was going to come out. And I think he'd rather been alone in his house, to tell you the truth. I think he really didn't want to go to the party. I think his parents made him. I'd rather be alone, playing video games, drinking, getting high, smoking, getting high, maybe, being with some ladies, getting laid or whatever. Yeah, I felt like he'd rather be alone and be independent, not be with his family. Yeah, he really didn't want to go to the party. It was like, I don't want to go with my parents. I'm like 30. He thought, oh, I don't want to go with the parents. But, oh boy, this is the devil. He had the addictions, restrictions, sexuality. So, he thought his parents didn't trust him because he had bad, tendencies, and he wasn't good at, what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't have good morals, or good morals, and so his parents didn't want him to be alone, and he had addictions. I think the reason why they brought him, because he smoked and got high and drinking. I think that's what he thought. Oh, they don't trust me. They probably think I'm going to get high, which is probably right, and drink and bring women home and do all the sorts of crap going on. And they thought he had destructive behavior. That's the reason why he was afraid that his parents didn't want him to be alone in the house. It'd be a destructive behavior to go to the party. And yes, this is what broke the camel's back. That because he did destructive behavior and acted weird at the party. He was coming up to people and doing weird, inappropriate things. So yeah. And also, he was a very negative person. He talked smack. He probably and he made them look bad. He thought his parents made him look bad. And he tried to recover and move on from drinking and drugging. So he said he didn't know if he could move on because he was afraid his parents would kick him to the curb after the fight. He was afraid wasn't sure if he could move on, and the parents would try to kick him to the curb. And he wasn't sure. Lisa, of the two evils, he was like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do if my parents kick me out. He didn't know. He didn't oh, should I? I'm not sure what I should do. If I just should, they might have put out the law and said that's enough. No more drugs. No more nothing. And he did. He didn't know what would the right choice was, and he was confused. He didn't know. This is what the cards say. The cards say he was confused and he didn't know what he was going to do, and he had information overload. He said, "Oh God, I don't know what to do. My parents are embarrassing me by saying, and they had that giant fight." So he didn't know what road to take, which of the roads are less evil, what road should I do? He wasn't sure what to do before the camels, the thing that broke the camel's back before the murders. Now, when he did it, was he, I think he was conscious doing this. Was he conscious when he did this? I mean, was he on drugs when he killed his parents? I think he was, but we'll ask him. Nick, were you on drugs when you killed your parents? And were you on drugs when you killed your parents? Please tell me. Nick, were you on drugs when you killed your parents? Yeah, he was on drugs. And it says he was planning. Oh my God, he was planning to kill his parents. Oh my God. I'm going by the cards. Yeah, he had a plan, progress, to making decisions. He knew that he would have to leave home. They would probably kick him to the curb. Like, you either have to go to rehab, or you might have to, they might have said, he thought he would have to go to rehab, or he would be homeless and kicked out. They said, enough is enough. You're going to have to leave. You ship in or ship out. So they were going to kick him to the curb. And he was disappointed. He felt his parents abandoned him at the party in his life. He felt like his parents weren't there for him. And and he wanted to escape, and he walked away. He did the deed and, planned it and walked away. He went to the hotel and walked away once it was over. That was the last opportunity he had of, killing his parents. He killed them, and, there was no other choice. He thought, this was the last opportunity. And he wasn't sure exactly, he had a bad investment in the sense of he wasn't sure what he was going to do once he killed his parents. Was, if he was going to flee the country or just, get drugs, and like he did, get in the drink at the gas station. He had bad planning. He didn't really plan it out. He planned with the, going to the hotel. But after that, I don't think he really planned too much. So it was bad planning, killing them. His emotion is stable. He after the drugs were in his system after killing them, he thought it was healing him in some weird thing. That's what my cards say. They said he was trying to be compassionate by killing them, which is some weird thing. I don't understand that. He thought it would keep him calm once there were death, and then he was calm after the drugs came. I think he was on a low I think he was on a low. He wasn't as drugged up after, when the cops found him. He was not like erratic or anything. I think he was getting down off the drugs, like a crash or something like that. So he was getting calm after taking the drugs. He was going there to find more drugs. So I think he was calm after the death. He murdered his parents after the hotel room. He had a crashing thing when people, get off the drugs and they move down from the drugs. I personally wouldn't know, but anyway, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, he was calm after after he was cleaned himself up from the hotel room. Okay, was he? I'll use some other cards. I'm gonna use some cards. Was he? They say he was paranoid, or just I have trouble with the word. Did he hear voices telling him to do it? Like, what's his name? Ted Bundy, the guy who said his dog told him to kill the women. Did he hear voices, penis, I don't know how to say the word. So yeah, did he hear voices, or when he killed his parents saying, "Do it, do it, do it"? Please tell me, Nick. Do you think, or were you totally sane when you did this? Because the jury's gonna say he was insane. His people are gonna say he's insane. But were you sane when you killed your parents? Please tell me. Were you sane when you killed your parents? Please. I'm going to do a couple cards from the article. Make it more interesting. Please tell me, were you sane when you murdered your parents? All right. It says that he had emotional baggage and he was stuck. It was because he was on drugs and he was stuck. He didn't want to resist into change. He did not want to stop doing the drugs. He'd rather do what he did to his parents than leave stopping the drugs and go to rehab, being forced to go to rehab. He didn't do it. He didn't care. I love the drugs more than I care about you, to his parents. So he didn't really care about his parents. He'd rather do the drugs, and he felt overwhelmed and trapped, like he had no alternative, because he thought his parents were going to finally kick him to the curb and say, you have to, like I keep on saying, you have to go to rehab or you're going to be homeless, or we're not going to take this. Plus, you've been damaging our property and you don't seem to give a rat's ass. Yeah, he had problems with drugs, alcohol, money, you name it. His parents indulged him with that. A lot of people get mad at me, but I feel like in some cases they did enable him by not sticking to the things and say, no more drugs, you have to go or you're out. Yeah. And he had bad luck. It finally came and he killed his parents, and he's having bad luck. And he had failed. And he had setbacks because he wouldn't get off the drugs. He kept on doing the drugs and going off drugs back and forth. It was like a spiral. Also, he thought his parents were disloyal to him. Like, how dare you say, that I made you look embarrassed at the party. You should care more about me than Kobe O'Brien, what he thinks and my friends think. This is what he thinks. And he felt like he was alone. And he was afraid people were going to gossip about him, even though, he was afraid people were going to gossip and he would look bad. Also, he had nightmares of his relationship with his parents. He felt overwhelmed. He felt fear. He had nightmares. He felt hopelessness because he didn't know what he would do if he was homeless, and and now you are independent and free. So he was independent and free, now that his parents were gone, which is terrible. And free, that means I think he was free. And strange companies and strange places challenge. I think the drugs affected his brain, so it seems strange companies, strange places. Maybe he thought he might have heard some people talking, like there might be some people talking in his brain saying kill him, but I don't know about that. Stuck emotions, baggage. So he had baggage with the drugs. I'm going to ask four more cards. It says he had misfortune, problems, chaos. Yeah, about the him being, but they didn't say failure, setback. There was setbacks. It didn't really say if he was sane or non-sane. he had nightmares and anxiety, and he felt depressed. So I think he when it says he have nightmares and anxiety and he feels overwhelmed, I think it means he's sane. Even though sometimes he did hear voices, but he was sane. Because it says he had nightmares, anxiety, overwhelmed, fear, depression, and nightmares. He had nightmares, about being homeless and stuff. He thought he was going to be homeless. So he was sane. I think he was sane, but we'll try 4 more cards. Was he sane? Because it said in the last part, it said he thought his parents were disloyal and would betray him. So, all right, 4 more cards. So far it says yes. He thought he was an accomplished person, that he could he was he felt like he could handle stress to some point. He had mental clarity, so he had other opportunities what he could do other than kill his parents. Like he could have gone to the mental hospital and taken care of himself. So mental clarity. So I think he was sane when he did this, and also he was reckless. Like killing his parents in his state of mind. He was reckless. He thought there was no other option, so he went and killed them, even though he hesitated for a little bit, but he still did it. So he did it. Ruthless, quite truth, power, lack of morals. He didn't have any morals when he did it. So, yeah, more and more I see in these cards, yeah, he is sane, even though he does sometimes hear voices, but mostly he's very sane. He might have some mental issues, but this one says that he had nightmares before the killings because he was afraid he would be being homeless and stuff. So he was sane before, and yeah, he was sane. He might have had, hear some voices, but generally he was mainly, I think it was the drugs that made him, say that he hear voices. So I'm going to ask that. Was it the drugs that made you feel like you were hearing voices because he's been doing so much drugs so long? Tell me, was it the drugs that made you hear voices because you've been doing drugs so long you can't tell? Because, that would be a good, the defense is going to say, oh, the drugs made him do it. I mean, the prosecutor will say, he did it because he was on drugs, which, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what jury. I'm going to talk about him other future videos too. Was it the drugs that made him do it? Even though there's no excuse for that, please tell me, Nick. Did you do the drugs? Movement. He wanted to be in control. He thought the drugs would keep him in control. He could do what he wanted and not have any, he thought he had willpower and it would direct him into good things. A lot of drug people who are on drugs think they can handle it. And he could action, he thought he wanted to be like what his father did for a living, be a screenwriter. The drugs did interfere with his killing. He was ruthless, high expectation, and he hasted the thought of killing his parents in the beginning. He put it on the back burner of his mind. He didn't really want to do it in the beginning before he planned it. He hesitated. He didn't really want to do it, but he did it because of, he was public. He was very self-confidence. Like he said, I'm going to do this. I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna do the I'm gonna take my drugs. I don't care what my family says. And I'm gonna end my parents' life, and I don't care. So yeah, the drugs had a big time effect on him. Uh, yeah. Uh, um, and he was emotional. Like he got upset really easily. Part of it is, yeah, he did the drugs, and it made him emotional, and it made him feel dark. He'd go through these phases where he got dark and angry. He'd be happy one moment, and then he got dark and upset the other. And he was negative self-talk. He was releasing his pain when he killed his parents. I'm gonna ask one more time. It said mixed reviews. It says he did take drugs when he killed his parents, but the drugs were coming down. So I'll ask one more time. When he was taking when he was drugs part of the reason why with the killing of his parents? I'm going to ask 4 cards. Was he on drugs really, or was he, I'm going to say I'm going to tell the people I'm on drugs, but I'm really not. So I'm going to see what the cards say. It says he tried to have harmony with his family before the Christmas party. He thought it was going to be fun going to the Christmas party. Also, he wanted, he was being happy. Maybe he was going to try to do drugs on the day of the party, but he was trying to be happy in the relationship. So maybe he tried in the beginning of the holiday of that day not to take drugs. But in foresight, he wasn't sure that he could do it. He didn't know if he could find the drugs on the day of the party. But then, personal transformation. He changed his mind. He said, oh God, I'm going to have to be with my parents. I'm going to take the drugs. So he did. He probably found a person and he took the drugs, and that's why he was, acting the way he was. He probably found some drugs on the day of the party, or the night of the party. And post-resentment. He was resentful of his parents, his father, Rob, embarrassing him. So, yeah, he was resentment. He wanted to, desired to, have a good relationship. He wanted to have a good relationship with his father, but he probably thought it was over. I'm not going to try. And he wanted to make an amends with his family before the party, but yeah. So yeah, it says that he did take the drugs before his death. Does he think that he's gonna go to a mental hospital? Is he gonna be going to a mental hospital? Does he think he's gonna go to prison or mental hospital? Nick, do you think you're going to go into a mental hospital, or are you going to go into prison? What does he think? I'm going to do 4 cards before. Because I don't think he's going to get the death penalty. No. All right. He thinks, he's not confident that he'll be in prison. He thinks he probably thinks he's going to go into the mental hospital. He'll think he'll have a private. It will be a his family's going to pay for it, and he knew was he was very inappropriate what he did to his parents, and the party he acted. I think eventually he's going to know what he did at the party was inappropriate, and what he did killing his parents. He'll know it's wrong eventually, maybe. I don't know. Heartbreak. It was heartbreak that he thinks it's heartbreak that he has to go to prison or to go to a mental hospital. He doesn't like it. He thinks he's hurt, he's emotional pain, feels lost, he's depressed. He's in prison right now, he's depressed. they have to put him on suicide watch. He's pissed off that how dare he be in prison even though he killed. He wanted to be a leader, and before the deaths, he wanted to have his become a star like his father, and he wanted a career. And right, there's going to be mystery coming out more on his parents' death and his family. There's going to be more coming out on his family and his anxiety. I think he had depression too. So I think there's other things that are going to come out about him and his family. There's more stuff that's going to come out. All right, I always ask this. Is he a psychopath? Because I think he is, so I'm going to ask. Is he a psychopath? Because what he said about the dogs, he said he was, if that dog doesn't effing shut up, I'm going to kill it. Is he a psychopath or sociopath? Please tell me. Is he very dangerous human being? Well, I don't know if you call him human being, but is he very dangerous? Please, 4 cards. And see what it tells me. Entertainment purposes. Is he a psychopath or sociopath? Ooh. Yes! Oh my God. Totally yes. Balance, harmony. He wanted harmony. He tried to be patient with his parents and his family. And finding meaning. He wanted meaning. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do with his life, He went through rehab constantly, doing drugs, doing those stupid interviews on television, YouTube videos. He tried to make YouTube videos. He wanted to be famous like his father. He wanted to find meaning in his life. He had a lot of energy when he, and he thought he was fearless. And he had a lot of energy, he was impulsive, making those videos, saying that he wanted, like I said, with the dog and peeing in in that Snapple. So he tried to be, he was inspired by his actions, he did things without thinking. He didn't have a filter. And difficult decisions. He didn't know, he didn't have good decisions when it came to doing things. His sister said he killed animals, so he didn't make very good decisions, difficult decisions, where he would kill animals, and he enjoyed doing that, which is sick, in my opinion, So, yeah, he thinks it's, yeah. And also, painful ending. There's going to be a painful ending. So, oh my God, painful ending. Let's look that up. There's a painful ending, deep wounds. He feels betrayed by his parents and his family. I'm going to look. Is he going to die in prison? I'm going to look that up. Is he going to die in prison or a mental hospital? Will he survive? I'd say 3 years. Once he gets convicted, hopefully he'll be stuck in wherever they put him. Will he die in prison or whatever? 4 cards, and then that will be the end till my next YouTube video or tarot reading. Will he die in prison? It says seeking personal closure. He's going to have closure, but in prison, there's going to be delays on that, because he's going to be scared there, because he didn't know what to expect if he's in prison or a mental hospital. There's going to be delays in the hospital. Delays, lack of motivation. There's not really a lot to do in prison except for drugging and, avoid being killed in prison. He's going to be bored there. There's not much to do except for if you can find drugs and watch television. There's not a lot of activities to do in prison. So he's going to be bored out of his goal, or in the mental hospital. He's going to be bored, and he's going to try to save money so he can get the drugs. He's going to find ways to find drugs and be in control of his own life. And dark side of wealth, financial failure or loss. There's going to be loss. People will get tired, they're going to be tired. He thinks people won't want to give him money. So, yeah. He's going to have lack of resources in prison. He's not going to have a lot of resources. I'm going to ask 4 more cards because it says lack of resources in prison. Because his family ain't going to give him money to get a pack of cigarettes or drugs or whatever. So he's going to be doing dangerous things. So I'll ask 4 more cards and then that's it. Sorry if this was a long video, but I wanted to see what happened. All right, we'll see. If it doesn't tell me, hey, will they die in prison? Lack of faith. He's going to be depressed. He'll be upset, despair, discouraged, security. Like, he's going to be depressed because he knows he can never get out. He's going to be very depressed. He might have to be on suicide watch. I don't know if he'll be able to be with other prisoners because he'll be depressed. He's going to have self-doubt, awareness, and people are going to criticize him, thinking, oh, this white person murdered his parents, and how he thinks he can get special treatment. And he's going to be destructive in prison. He's going to be destructive. He's going to be like he's going to be destructive in prison. And financial loss. He's not going to have any money there. No one will want to help him out outside of prison. No one's going to. His family is only paying for the lawyers, and they're not going to pay for his drug habit, his cigarettes, whatever they sneak in. They're not going to help out with him. Unfortunate lack of accountability, guilt. He was dishonest, with his family, lying to them. So, yeah. It doesn't say that he's going to kill himself, but it says he's going to be very depressed, and his family isn't going to give him any money to get drugs or something. They'll help him not get the needle or whatever, lethal injection or whatever, or the mental house, but they're not going to give him money for the drugs or alcohol and stuff because they probably know that. The prosecutor will say, no, you can't give him drugs. Until my next video, take care and bye, and entertainment purposes. Take care and bye.